Okay, here's one that has been a long time coming. This series from Arrow Home Video, this is called Vengeance Trails, 4 classic westerns. This is 4 spaghetti westerns released from Arrow Home Video. Arrow's been really, really good the last couple of years, putting out a lot of spaghetti westerns and giallo films and Japanese crime films, and they've put out some like classics, and they've put out a lot that I've never heard of, which is great. Like I own the classics, I buy the classics when they come out, but I'm more excited about something that's new to me, and that's what this set is. This is 4 westerns I'd never heard of, and they were all a lot of fun. I'm going to keep looking at my notes a lot, or you'll see me fade in and fade out because I gotta have to refresh my memory a little bit because it took me a while to get through this set. Not because it was good, simply because I was really, really busy and newer single disc sets came out that I was trying to prioritize. That doesn't matter to you. That's not what you're here for. You're not here for excuses. You're here to hear me talk about spaghetti westerns. So first up on disc 1 is Massacre Time. This is a Lucio Fulci movie. Lucio Fulci, who is known for horror and gore movies like The Beyond and Zombie and things like that. His 80s work is better known. But this is a movie from 1966, and it stars Franco Nero. And it's got a screenplay by Fernando De Leo, who also did the first 2 of the Dollars trilogy, Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, and is known for a lot of Italian crime films in the 70s. And so, yeah, it's Franco Nero and George Hilton. Love Franco Nero. So you tell me Franco Nero's in a movie, the chances of me watching that movie have skyrocketed, even if you tell me it's about a man who makes sandals and it's all it is showing him make sandals. If it's Franco Nero making sandals, I'll watch Franco Nero making sandals. So basically, Franco Nero returns home to find his town is living in fear. Like a local tycoon or business owner he owns everything. He's got this dandy creep of a son who uses a bullwhip to taunt and torture people. Nero finds that his brother George Hilton is now an alcoholic, and together they seek revenge and take the baddie on. The baddie and his son, they take him on. It's a weird mix of like dark and straight ahead spaghetti western. It's got comedic aspects to it, so it's like a dark western, but it's also kind of funny at times. And there's moments when the 2 brothers are like they start working together in fights. So it's dark, but it's also funny. Like Franco Nero will call out at times, "Hey, gentlemen," and then like shoot a bunch of bad guys. and the weird creep son with the bullwhip. There's a big showdown at the end between the guy with the bullwhip and Franco Nero. And so yeah, sometimes it's very funny, and sometimes it's just like a dark. What I love about spaghetti westerns, there's this little twinge of perversity in some of the characters and some of the storylines and things like that. So I thought Massacre Time was a lot of fun, a movie I'd never heard of. I mean, and it's one of those things where it's like Lucio Fulci, Franco Nero, you'd think this would have popped up at some point, but it's just a movie that I guess is lesser in their filmography to a lot of people and just doesn't get talked about very much. You have an audio commentary on this. You've got the alternate US dub, so you can listen to it in English or Italian with subtitles, and a new Franco Nero interview and an archival George Hilton interview and an interview with a historian about the film. Disc 2 is My Name is PECOS from 1966. Italian title is 2 Ounces of Lead. This is a Maurizio Lucielli film with Robert Woods, who is an American, and George Eastman, and it's in Technoscope, so nice widescreen film here. And you can watch the English or the Italian version, and when you choose that with the Arrow discs, it's not just the audio that's different. A lot of times it's also the titles. So if you watch the Italian version, you see the Italian title sequences and the Italian language dub with subtitles. If you watch the English, it's the English language titles and the English dub, and occasionally there's other differences. Occasionally the music's a little different, occasionally the sound mix is a little different. So it's kind of cool that they're a different experience depending on how you do it. It's not just the presence of subtitles or not. So I had to look at my notes. It's been a while since I've watched it. So this one, Mexican gunslinger finds himself helping the few remaining residents of a town defend themselves from a bad guy and his henchmen who've basically overtaken the town looking for a cache of cash, as it were, looking for a hidden amount of cash somewhere. So you've got the man who plays the Undertaker in this film was in Bird with the Crystal Plumage. It is, what do I have here? Umberto Rajo from Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and my notes say he's looking a bit like Doodles Weaver. And it's a fun, serious Western with good pistolry, good shoot 'em up stuff in it, and revenge. And it's similar to Django in a way that there's a moment in the film where the bad guys just beat the snot out of our hero and leave him for dead, and he has to sort of get his act together and come back and just lay waste to everybody. Extras on this include a new video interview. I get very excited when I talk about George Eastman. There's an interview with the actress Lucia Mondugo that's 18 minutes. The George Eastman's 21 minutes long. There's a commentary by Robert Woods and C. Courtney Joyner. There's a new documentary on the film that's 19 minutes long. There's the Italian trailer and the German poster gallery. The spaghetti westerns were very big in Germany, so you see a lot of German editions and German paper, as the collectors will say on these things. And they made some of their own, too. They made, I think people refer to them as Lederhosen westerns. I've never seen any of them, but there are German-made, for lack of a better term, spaghetti western, because they were made around the same time and made with similar style, inspired by this. U.S. westerns inspired the Italian westerns inspired the... Well, U.S. westerns inspired Japanese samurai movies. Japanese samurai movies inspired Italian westerns. Italian westerns inspired German westerns, and on and on and on and on. So after that is Bandidos from 1967, directed by Massimo Dallamano. Max Dahlman on screen here. Cinematography on the first two Dollars films. He was the guy who shot the first two of the Dollars trilogy. And he directed What Have You Done to Solange, which is a popular and somewhat infamous Italian giallo film that I want to say Arrow also has out on video. And it's got Enrica Maria Salerno, who I like a lot. He was the detective in Bird with the Crystal Plumage, I believe. And he's been in a lot of movies that I've been discussing that Arrow has been releasing. So this is one that I remember better, because I think it was maybe one of the last ones I watched on this set. So Salerno plays like this aging gunfighter who, he's the only person left alive after bad guys rob a train and massacre everybody. And the head bad guy knows his reputation as a quick draw guy. So basically to ensure that he's not going to come after him and seek revenge, he shoots him in his hand so he can't shoot anymore. So years later, this former Prince of the Piss, Delirious Salerno, is MC at like a traveling carnival who has a sharpshooting act. So he basically has trained a younger guy to be a sharpshooter, basically trained him the best he could to be as good as Salerno was in his day. And a bad guy shoots this guy who is his pistol-packing ace in the hole for his traveling show. So Salerno trains a new guy to be his young protege in this traveling sharpshooting show. And then around that time, Billy Kane, who's the bad guy who shot Salerno in the hand at the beginning of the movie, comes back, crosses his path, and there's a price on his head. So basically now Salerno and his young protege try to basically take out the bad guy who ruined Salerno's life and get a handy payday in the process. This movie was a lot of fun. The training sequences, the sharpshooting, all of it. It was really cool. It was a very different kind of spaghetti western than I'm used to seeing, and I really liked it quite a bit. The training sequences and their trick camera shots and really, really nice compositions throughout this movie. Salerno, he kept reminding me of James Franciscus for some reason. I don't know what it is. Sorry, James Franciosa, the star of... no, James Franciscus. It's been a long day. He reminds me of James Franciscus from Argento's Cat o' Nine Tails and Longstreet and Beneath the Planet of the Apes and all kinds of other things. So this has a Kat Ellinger commentary. Kat Ellinger, if you see her name on the packaging of anything, that package overall has now become more worthwhile. She's great. She does a commentary. There's an interview with the assistant director. There's an interview with the young actor who played the young protege sharpshooter. And there is an interview with a film historian about this. The last film on the set, number 4 of 4, is And God Said to Cain, from a little bit later, this is 1970, directed by Antonio Margheriti under his common nom de plume, or nom de cinema, Anthony Dawson, and it stars Klaus Kinski. This, like all of these, is another film I had never heard of, and it was really good. So basically the deal is that Klaus Kinski is a prisoner in a chain gang, and his name in the film is Gary Hamilton. And, you know, when you know who Klaus Kinski is and where he was from and how he talked, Gary Hamilton isn't the name you would pin on the guy, but for the sake of anybody watching this dubbed in English or in another language, he was Gary Hamilton. He breaks free and sets out to find the guy and get revenge for the person who put him on the chain gang, who is this, of course, a bad guy who has a lot of henchmen who runs a town, which is a similar theme in a lot of these. And he shows up to this town to take out the bad guy and his henchmen as a tornado is ripping through the town. So there's this huge long stretch of the film where it is just Kinski taking out these guys one by one as the wind is whipping around at night. Incredibly atmospheric. That whole last section of the movie is an ideal movie to watch alone in the dark late at night in your house movie. It was a very, very cool vibe. I wouldn't say it's a horror vibe, but just like super atmospheric. And great atmosphere, as I say, a lot of fun, occasionally really brutal, and a really nice surprise, nice way to end the set. So this has a commentary by Howard Hughes, not that Howard Hughes. He's dead. He didn't live to see this movie, or if he did, he was pretty tight-lipped about what he thought. You get a documentary on the film that's 19 minutes, and then you get an interview with actor Antonio Cantafora that's 13 minutes. So overall, to get back to this, to summarize, Vengeance Trails was a really cool set. These aren't movies that most people have heard of. Some might not rush to get this because they don't recognize the titles, but they're good. To me, and maybe it's just me, spaghetti westerns, as baseline spaghetti westerns, I just like them. I like the trappings of them. I like the mood, how they're shot, the actors, the music, the locations, all that stuff. So it's rare that I severely dislike a spaghetti western. So it's always exciting to discover new ones, new to me. I mean, they're not making them anymore, but they made so many in their day that it's thrilling to keep seeing new ones get released like this and get these really nice, beautiful deluxe Aero editions. So again, if you're a fan of spaghetti westerns, I highly recommend. Available now, although it's been out for so long, I hope it's still in print. Vengeance Trails, 4 classic westerns.